I'm lost in darkness, searching for light. Every step forward feels like a fight. Shadows of doubt creep in my mind, but I refuse to surrender. I must find a way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. The weight of the world crushes me down. Fear and uncertainty all around. But I deep find inner strength to face the trials length by length. A way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes, like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my heart reborn. I've walked through fire and emerged scarred, but wiser, stronger, and unmarred. My existence is a test of will, of trials overcome, of a soul made bold. The weight of the world above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Oh, made bold. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my spirit unborn. Day to day, nothing changes. All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape. I shout for help, but no one hears me. One day I feel I'll just disappear. Lost in this chaos, I'm certain.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for December the 10th, 2024. I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster, here with little Molly Holly, the long-haired chihuahua, and joined tonight by
CJ Carter. This was a decent episode tonight, so I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Oh yeah, had a good time as always. But guys, before we can get into it tonight and talk about all the fun we had on NXT, we do have to give that ever important shout out to our partner on the interwebs, comicbookclick.com. That is comicbookclick.com/Dirt Sheet Radio for all of your pop culture, comic book, professional wrestling, entertainment needs, all in one convenient location. Check it out. Make it your homepage. Look at it multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated to do so, but because we love it. Molly, it is rude to yawn. when someone's talking. But you know what? I think we're all going to forgive you because you're Molly and you're
just ever so adorable.
Yeah. Agree to disagree, Lyle. Agree to disagree. Thank you, Molly. And you know what? That was the appropriate time to yawn.
I mean, if you're coming to an NXT stream to talk about Goldberg, like, did you even watch the show?
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, gosh. Oh, but it was a good time. Now, guys, we are going to flip the script on its head here a little bit tonight. And due to kind of the way some of the story played out here this evening, we're actually going to start the show at the start of the show.
I know it's a weird concept, starting a story at the beginning, but here we are.
Was it that lamb chop? You know, it's we'll start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. Was that? I think that was lamb. Right, lamb chop.
No? I don't specifically remember that from Lamb Chop. Like I remember the show, not a whole lot of particular segments.
Oh gosh, yeah. I guess my memory for Lamb Chop. I'm going way back on that one. But you know what, guys?
No one else knows what you're talking about.
No one has a clue because and that brings me to the point. No one is here to listen to us talk about antiquated children's series that would have aired on public broadcasting here in the States.
Maybe that's what we retool Level Up Adventure to, is just
children's shows. Yeah. Oh gosh.
God, did you ever watch Dudley the Dragon growing up? No, just kidding.
Eureka's Castle. But NXT tonight came to us live from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. They will be back on the road here very, very soon. But tonight we were back in the home turf. And after a quick recap of the events of Deadline, Giulia made her way out to the ring to, one would assume, call out NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez, as Giulia is now the #1 contender for that championship. And she was interrupted pretty quickly by our Women's Champion Roxanne Perez, and they did announce that match will be taking place at New Year's Evil, which is one of my absolute favorite names for any NXT event, not just because it shares that name with a very underrated horror film, but yeah, CJ, man, what did you think of tonight's opening segment, how Giulia is being positioned, and I'll let you kind of get into the events of the opening here.
Yeah, for sure. So the segment itself I thought was good. Like, there was nothing that really stood out as bad, you know, like it was Roxanne came out, said her piece, joined shortly afterwards by Cora Jade, and you know, there was a moment where Cora said something to the effect of Stephanie Vaquer isn't gonna come out and save you, and then we cut to the back and she's been taken out. So obviously it was up to Roxanne and Cora to take her out, and then it was a 2-on-1 attack against Giulia until Kalani Jordan came out to even the odds, which set up a tag team match for later on in the night. Now, overall, like, yeah, it was a great, good way to start off the show. It was, and it led to a fantastic match, too. So, looking forward to talking about that as well.
It ain't far from it, Mac. It ain't far from it.
I mean, it's still NXT. It's just on a different night. Yes, looking forward to talking about that as well. I was very surprised.
Yeah, that was a surprise there tonight. But yeah, from that opening segment here tonight, we went to. It started kind of as a recap of, or a replay, I should say, of Ethan Page's parking lot interview from Deadline, where he was talking about, you know, not really knowing how to get back to that place where he once was on the card. And it kind of pulled back from there, and we see a handful of the men's roster watching that TV monitor, and then we pull back further, and it's basically the entirety of the men's NXT locker room sitting there watching Ethan Page being somber, and they actually pan over to Ethan Page being somber.
Also, just watching his promo with the rest of the roster.
This is sad for poor Ethan Page. Poor broken ego, Ethan Page.
But it's like, I don't get why, like, these segments are booked the way they are. Like, if you want him to be despondent and sad, fine, but you have him walk into the room where people are watching. You don't have to be an active participant in his drama. Like,
it's more sad this way, though. It really is. It's a hair more pathetic. Him just sitting there, like, I really didn't expect it. I expected him to walk into the room. Like, that's what I expected to happen. Him get all mad about it, but no, he's just being a little sad sack sitting on the couch, watching himself be sad from 2 days prior. This is peak cinema, if you ask me. This really is storytelling at its finest.
But the segment also didn't end there. We had Tony D'Angelo actually extend a North American title shot to Ethan Page, which he initially refused because he thought the title was beneath him, being a former NXT champion. So Tony, being the fighting champion, kind of opened it up to the room and said, "Who wants a title shot?" Everyone starts clamoring for it, very reminiscent of the Wes Lee Open challenges, except nobody started fighting over it. But Ethan Page eventually convinces the Don to let him change his mind and cash in on the opportunity. So that match was set later on in the night, and hopefully a return to form for Ethan Page.
Yeah, we'll see what the night holds for All Ego, and if he can start to bounce back. But speaking,
really enjoyed seeing that match, though. Like, it's fantastic.
But back in the backstage, and also trying to bounce back, we had Lexis King back there, and he walked up to Charlie Dempsey, and he was asking for another Heritage Cup match, which, you know, Charlie said he would have to think about and give some consideration to, which is fair, as you know, Lexis did just recently have one. And, you know, we talked about this on Saturday night. I felt like Lexis King was back on track to what he was doing prior to that misstep of a promo Saturday.
Yeah.
They even kind of, and we'll get into it, you know, a little bit later, because I think it was in a segment he appeared in later when he said this, but he basically kind of implied that he got it all out of his system in a way, like almost being like, yeah, that wasn't great, but it's done, it's over, it's gone now. But from there,
well, just while we're talking about that, we'll talk about it later. Never mind.
As Charlie is just giving so much praise to the NQCC, even though they lost, which I think this really is proof that we are looking at like a much more face-oriented and different no quarter catch crew than we were, you know, 4 months ago. Because this Charlie Dempsey's a kind leader. You know, he's telling, you know, good job guys, you were this close to winning. You know, Rin, you put in such a great effort. You know, he was really lavishing a lot of praise on his teammates, which I like this. I like the positive Charlie Dempsey. I enjoy this. But they were very quickly interrupted by OTM and Jada Parker, which, okay, cool. I'm excited to see like some matches here, but gosh, for Jada's sake, and no offense to OTM, but like she really needs to be separated from them. You know, kind of like how I was saying up on the main roster when they had Caden Carter and Katana Chan with Lyra Valkyria, and how I desperately wanted Lyra to get pushed away from them. I feel the same way with Jada and OTM. Like, at this point, I don't think she can really help them, and they're just going to start to kind of hurt her. But I mean, I'm looking forward to the matches here, but like, I even view OTM as being a couple rungs below No Quarter Catch crew in terms of like perception and position on the card. But maybe that's just me. But we'll see what
No, it's not just you. Like I
Okay.
definitely understand where you're coming from here. It's I think it's even something that we've talked about on the show before, how it's unfortunate that they need her and she doesn't need them, because there aren't many other women on feasibly fit in with OTM as they are currently. So how do you rectify that in a way that won't hold Jada back and won't leave OTM high and dry? I don't think there is a way to do that.
No, it's just OTM's going to have to figure something out. Like, it's going to just be a serious sink or swim moment for them. Because it's just the longer the association goes, the more it's just going to start to damage her perception. And I say this like every week, Jada Parker's the real deal. Like, they have something really, really special in her. And I sincerely mean this. I'm talking like, in terms of where I think she'll be on the card when she hits the main event and really like gets rolling. They have, I like a Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch level women's star here in Jada Parker. I really honestly do. She's, much more in the rough, obviously, but she's on NXT. But like, that's the kind of level of star I think they have in Jada Parker. And they need to protect her and, really give her that treatment as much as possible. And part of that's getting OTM pushed far, far away from her. I'm sorry, OTM.
Unless OTM can elevate their game and get up to Jada's level, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah,
they haven't been presented in the best way. So how do we expect the fans to care about them when they haven't given us a reason to care about them? Them and another team that we'll talk about later today.
Yep. And part of it is you gotta get them the reps, get them wins, put them in programs that people care about. But like, NXT's good at making us care about acts and wrestlers that we didn't particularly care about, a couple months prior. So it's absolutely doable. It's just they have to do it, and they need to do it fast if they want to keep that association going. But like, I do think, even if they do kind of write them, I think that her long-term future does not involve OTM.
No, and it's one of those we'll have to see what happens. Like, are they going to end up on the future endeavors list, or are they going to be able to hold their socks up and succeed?
That's a time will tell thing. Like, they're in the right environment, but and that is something I will say. Like, if they just very quickly severed ties from Jada Parker and they were just all of a sudden not seen near her at all, I would probably be worried. I'd be less worried about them getting released if they make it part of an angle with them splitting, but it's just not working for her. It's not helping her right now.
Well, and who knows?
That being said, like, no disrespect to Rin Sinclair, I kind of view Rin Sinclair as being, a step below Jada, and where Jada is in her development. I like Rin Sinclair a lot. So, like, maybe that's part of the idea here with this program between the No Quarter Catch crew and, OTM with Jada, is they're kind of looking to raise everybody here. Which actually, truthfully is the goal of, most wrestling matches. That's the goal of most programs, is that everyone comes out looking better. That would be the ideal here. But I think maybe that is like the actual concept for the purpose of this feud. But we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do going forward here. In HBK we trust.
Exactly. Cute photo with chef's hat. No, don't actually.
No, I don't have it in here. Or I would. Okay. I would have. I should have that ready at all times, honestly. But
well, isn't it part of your big Facebook post every week? Along with the "oh yeah, man."
Yep, yeah. That's that one.
And by the way, that's not my Booker T impression. That's just me mocking. I don't like him on commentary.
But people do. People do. You're not of the people that do.
I know. I'm pretty sure I'm in the minority, but I don't care.
It's fair. But from there, we have our opening match tonight. We had Javon Evans taking on Wes Lee in a match that I think everyone was looking forward to from the second they announced it. Fantastic bout here, and ends up being a massive win for Javon Evans tonight in just around 13 minutes, beating Wes Lee. Great match. Lots of good action. I think that Wes Lee is wrestling his heel character pretty well. In so much, I mean, he's changing his style just enough. He's doing just enough little underhanded things. He's doing shit that Wes Lee doesn't need to do to win matches. And that's kind of what makes it infuriating that he's doing it as a heel. Wes Lee doesn't need to put his feet on the ropes. You're Wes Lee.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, I still want to cheer for Wes Lee deep down because I know the kind of face that Wes Lee is. So, I'll cheer for him just as hard if he's a good guy or not. But the fact that Javon Evans got the win here really cements kind of what we were talking about after Deadline. His stock in NXT is just crazy high right now.
It just
he's a guy that I really want to see succeed, and not just because he's incredibly athletic and talented in the ring, is because he just has like this wholesome character, like wholesome vibe to him, and I think there's a need for more of that sort of mentality.
Yep. And he is something.
I agree with Mac here.
Absolutely. Like, and he's something that WWE as a whole really likes, and that's someone that has a appeal to every age group, and especially kids. And he's family friendly, he's safe, and he's bright, and he's flashy, and he's a positive character, a positive role model. And that's something that, that main event or that main roster brass, they look for that sort of thing. That's marketable as hell, and it makes them family oriented. They're a family show. And as they said recently in terms of the move to Netflix and a potential of the rating changing for Raw, it's not. They've stated that they're going to continue to be family-oriented programming, and so that's something they're keeping their eye on. And that just Javon's just, again, we're talking about like someone like Jada. Javon's another name that's someone 25 years from now we're going to be still talking about because he's going to still be working. It's just one so young. 20 years old. But just a big win and a big moment for him tonight. As again, like you said, like his stock straight up.
And these guys just have such amazing chemistry together too. Like, it's insane that this is main roster, like main event level chemistry between these guys. I think this is going to lead to potentially one of the best feuds of the modern era of NXT.
Yeah, and it's going to benefit Javon, I think, a lot from an in-ring psychology standpoint, because Wes Lee is very good at that, and Wes, I think, has a lot that he can actually teach Javon before Wes makes his inevitable jump to the main roster. Do you think this might be one of Wes's last big programs before he ggets moved up?
Very possibly. I think
transfer portal's coming. The transfer portal's happening.
It's one of those, and there's like 9 or 10 people in the back of my head right now that I would say are main roster ready that could go up in this trade window. And I don't know for sure if Wes Lee is one of them, but he's definitely on my list. So if this is his last hurrah, then I think he's got a good feud here with Javon Evans.
Yeah, agreed. But anything else on tonight's opening match?
It was awesome. Loved it. But I hate the fact that it took us 3 segments and a commercial break to get there. You know, like, this is a wrestling show, right?
It is, yeah. It was a little late in the night for the first NXT match. Usually NXT has wrestling a little quicker. Now, I will say, I don't think it was on this match that they used it first tonight. No, it was later. But I will bring it up, and I know that y'all don't get this up in the Great White North, but tonight on the CW here, CW Nonstop, they did have picture-in-picture for several matches again here on the CW in the States. So
there was a point where Vic Joseph was thrown to commercial, and he did say CW brought back picture-in-picture, and I'm just like, Sportsnet won't, and sure enough, I got commercials right away.
Yeah.
I am counting down the days. Like, January 6th, for all intents and purposes, cannot come fast enough.
Right.
Like, don't take that out of context either. I know that's I'm not even American. I don't care about your elections, man.
Yeah. Don't at him over this, all right?
At CJ Carter 22.
You know what I mean.
You know what? If you really want to at me, just at me. I don't care. I don't even check Twitter that much anymore.
No, it's true. It's true. Goodness gracious. But from the in-ring to the backstage area, we had Fraxiom discussing their title retention, and Nathan Fraser is just all kinds of busted up. He looked pretty rough. And, again, props to him for, getting as busted up as he did in that Iron Survivor match, and then, still going through with that tag title defense. But, God, love it.
They seemed too friendly in this promo. Like, I know we'd seen a lot of tag teams turning lately, and again, we'll talk about another example later on, but here with Fraxiom, like, they've been drawing this out for so long, and they really could pull the trigger at any moment. So here's where I thought this might have been the start of that. Particularly when Axiom said something to the effect of, "I'd do anything for you." Like, it definitely came off as like creepy stalker vibes, and I didn't know how to feel about that.
And I really did think they were going to start leaning into, Axiom just kind of being like, "I don't need you. Like, I retained these titles. You were present. You were there." I really kind of thought that's the way they were going to go. And, and it was, editor-chief, founder of Dirt Sheet Radio, Johnny Dirt Sheet himself, who mentioned to CJ and myself that you can tell Axiom is livid. He was so pissed at the end of that match. You could see that. You could see the expression
right in his face. Like, his stare was just furious. It was insane. I don't know how I didn't catch that on the live broadcast, but saw it after. And...
oh, but yeah. So I did
good. Well, because see, here's the thing. Like, there is still a very good chance that this is, like, we're looking too deep into this and they're gonna keep teaming together, or they are gonna break up. But it still could go either way. Like, one could turn on the other pretty interchangeably.
Yeah, it's which I like. It's a more compelling story that way. When you really, it was similar to the New Day up on the main roster, where we were making an argument left and right for it being Kofi or Xavier. Then who saw that coming? Both of them were assholes. So here we are. I don't think Fraxiom is going to end up there because they don't have a Big E that they can be mean to. Unless they just bring Big E down to NXT just to get yelled at by Fraxiom.
It's like, oh man, I get to escape my main roster troubles. I'll come down to NXT for a bit. Oh, hey, Nathan Fraser and Axiom. Pleasure to meet you both. Just immediate verbal assault.
Now you want to show up to NXT. Where were you, Big E?
Mr. Former NXT champion coming to show us what's what.
Oh, that'd be horrible. That'd be so horrible for Big E.
So funny though. So good.
Oh jeez. But from there we had what I thought was a pretty cool little video package they threw to regarding Briggs' time in Noah and linking up with Inumara, which I like that they actually showed some footage in that from Noah. I thought that was pretty cool. And, I'm glad that they had Josh Briggs address that he didn't want to be back in a tag team necessarily. Because I even said that a couple weeks ago. I'm like, they're about to throw him back in a tag team after he made this huge deal about wanting to break out as a singles wrestler. But they made sense of it. At least they made enough sense of it that I can't be too mad at him and call him super hypocritical. But CJ, what'd you think of this segment here and the official now pairing of Briggs and Inumara?
Well, and I'm looking forward to seeing really what they do as a team. Knowing Josh Briggs' tag team history, like, we know he's a solid tag team wrestler. I think he's a 2-time champ with Brooks Jensen. One was regular NXT and then the other was NXT UK. Or maybe they didn't win the NXT one and it's just a fever dream. Anyways, he's a solid guy, and working with Inumara will hopefully just give him an opportunity to learn some more. Or maybe maybe they kind of trade between Noah and NXT. That'll help him learn even more.
Yeah. And again, like, just having those sort of, exchange programs, for lack of a better term, in place, it's so beneficial to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It's so helpful because, like, that is one, I would say, like, especially, for guys like us that have watched wrestling for so long and absorbed so much wrestling information over the years, one of the major difference for a modern wrestler to a wrestler from 30 years ago is that you worked different places in the world as you kind of made a name for yourself, and that's just not the way the business really is anymore. And it's always beneficial that when people can get that kind of exposure and get that variance of styles taught to them. So I'd love to see a pipeline with this in Noah.
As long as it's not AEW, I'm sure WWE will try and go for it.
Exactly. Yeah, he's definitely, he's got a lot of what they look for, and we've said this here a couple times on the show. It's just there's some little aspect of it for him that's not quite clicked yet, and it's interesting that he's had promos where he has said this, video packages where this has been the focus, where he's like, "Who is Josh Briggs? Like, what is Josh Briggs?" And it's and once you actually figure that out completely, he's going to do really, really well, and it's just figuring that out, and that's why we're here. That's what NXT is.
Well, and to be honest, like, I don't think they really outgrew the Stanley as much as I think we thought at the time that they had. I mean, even talking about Josh Briggs going into the Iron Survivor match last year, like, we were hyped for it. Like, we were like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna do really well. JBL was giving him his stamp of approval at the same time, and you know, you get this sense now, 1 year later, that they're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, and nothing's worked so far, so they put him in another tag team.
And you know, and I kind of wondered if that was part of the reason of sending him specifically to Noah, was to kind of let him reset a little bit for the NXT proper audience, but then you bring him back and put him right back into a tag team. So I don't know, and maybe this will work. Maybe this will kind of just give him time to maybe develop his on-screen persona a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I have the faith that it'll lead to something, and I like Briggs a lot. And CJ, you're right. Last year at this time, we were talking about what kind of breakout he was going to have. You know, to be fair, we also said that about Fallon Henley, and Fallon has had an incredible breakout year. And you know,
100%.
Even Brooks or Brooksy, as Sean Spears likes to call him, I even feel like he has a more defined character now than Josh Briggs does. And I wouldn't have thought that.
I would say that was because of thanks to Sean Spears. And even for Fallon Henley, like, her heel character was good, but then she aligned with Fatal Influence, and there, I think, was where they really hit dynamite with her.
And that's true. That is true. But even Brooks, like, right before the association with Spears, when he was doing the social media promos from like inside of his truck, and like the bits where his fiance was talking about like him being missing for like a couple days, they ended up using a good bit of that on television. But like, that was really good work from him. I thought his character work on that was just so stellar, and it was one of those things where it's like, why can't you be that kind of character, Josh? Like, why can't you do that? Like, figure this out. Like, be everything, be the whole package. But yeah, I'm stunned that a year removed, and I'm glad you said that about us thinking about Briggs last year. I'm stunned that a year removed that Brooks Jensen, I think, is in a better place than Josh Briggs.
And to think like that, it was only a year, you know, and you think, where are they going to be in another year? Like, are they going to figure something out with Josh? Is Fallon still going to be on? Like, is she going to strike out on her own? Is Brooks Jensen going to strike out on his own? We'll have to see.
I will say, if Briggs is in even remotely the same position a year from now, something's going really wrong.
If he's still in this position a year from now, I think they might just cut their losses and say, go bum around the indies for a bit.
Which, again, though, would be a shame, just because he's very, very good. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Briggs. But backstage, we were trying to get word on whether or not Stephanie Vacker was hurt, if she was okay, if she was going to be all right. What's going on? We were waiting to get word back there with Sarah Schreiber, Kalani Jordan, and Giulia looking so
distraught.
She is just, the world is collapsing. That is like
there was no greater injustice done in the world today.
But so we did not get word, by the way, on how hurt Stephanie Vacker was. And we jumped from one backstage segment to another. We had Zarya and Sol Ruka talking in the women's locker room. And they were, that is not the right picture. There we go. They were chatting, kind of talking to each other. I'm talking about what an experience the Iron Survivor was and they were interrupted by Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Looks like we're gonna, probably get some physicality here. CJ, what'd you think about this? And they called them the Meta Girls at one point. They didn't actually properly say Meta 4. And I've been wondering this for a while because, one, when was the last time we saw Oro Mensah on NXT television? Obviously, the founder of the Metaphor is still out with injury. Do you think they might maybe start to be transitioning away from the Metaphor as a cohesive unit?
Well, I don't know if, we'd have to look in to see if there is a reason why Oro hasn't been used. It very well could be that he was injured at a live event and we just missed hearing it. Yeah. But I mean, they got a decent amount of exposure on SmackDown and a Crown Jewel. So I was surprised to see them back on NXT in general. I thought they were going to wind up just kind of staying there. But I mean, anything happens in this trade window.
Yeah, I was going to say, I figure after the trade window, they'll be on the main roster proper, which means that, again, kind of like we were saying with Wes, if he ends up into the portal there, this could be, whatever program Lash and Jakara work here, this could be their last NXT proper program, if that is the case. Which we might be saying that about several acts and performers here going into that, but
I'm not ready to say goodbye.
I'm not for some of these people. I'm really not. That's what I think one of the most bittersweet, double-edged things about, being an NXT fan and covering NXT is that, we have to, bid them farewell eventually. There's going to come the day, it's going to come soon, that I won't be able to refer to NXT as Tuesday Night Roxy anymore. And that's
going to be Monday night or Friday night, and that just doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
No, it doesn't. It'll happen. I'll get used to it. But we had a quick video package there.
Before we get into, we don't have the screenshots, but I gotta start, the production team, I don't know what they were on tonight, but they were not at the top of their game. I mean, I don't know if anyone else caught it, but the lower thirds for originally it loaded in completely wrong, and then it loaded in for Giulia, and instead of Kalani Jordan, they put Stephanie Vaquer.
Which, to be fair, she was present. She was just in the train.
On the other side of a closed door. So...
Bethesda was doing the name click for that.
That's one thing. Then we go to this backstage segment, or women's locker room segment. You have Kalani Jordan, or you have Zarya and Sol Ruka on one side. You have Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend on the other. But for some reason, the lower thirds, they popped up two on both sides, but it was just for Legend and Jackson. They didn't actually... Oh, wait, maybe they did when they were talking about them. But either... when it was just the two of them. But either way, they could have put them side by side.
Right. They could have angled it better, yeah. And this happened... it was last week on Raw when Liv and Raquel were coming out for their tag match. It didn't say Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. It said Liv Morgan with Raquel Rodriguez. So there's some intern somewhere who ain't getting his college credit for what's happening here.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man. But from there, we had a quick just video package plugging the ticket sales being open for next week's On the Road episode of NXT. I'm going to say this every time they do this. I love that they're trying to be on the road at least once a month for the weekly show. you're going to get tired of hearing me saying it, but I think it is a really great litmus test for who is actually over and how over people really are. But after
we've talked about that on Level Up Adventure before too. Like, has the brand outgrown the Performance Center on a regular basis? And I genuinely do think that they have. So as long as they continue to sell well on these road shows, I think maybe we'll see a full touring brand.
Yep. I think that'd be really healthy for them. Like, and it just. WWE really does tout them as a, proper third brand. And I think that was made even more evident by the fact that this past Saturday, Deadline, it was an NXT PLE, but it was WWE Deadline.
Mm-hmm.
That was the name of the event. So, like, same as it would be, WWE whatever PLE with Raw wrestlers and SmackDown wrestlers. So, they really are kind of elevating that narrative with that.
But I don't understand why that change occurred, because it's not like they started incorporating WWE's name into anything else in the NXT brand. It's not like they're called the WWE NXT Championship. Or anything like that. Like, it's a weird change, especially since it's only for the PLEs, and those are on Peacock and or Netflix anyways. So
right.
why are you putting such a minor change into is it because the CW is the only national network that you have television on, so you need to get the WWE brand in there somehow? So
what?
When you're hyping the event,
I bet you're right. That's it. I think you just figured that out, CJ. That would make 100% sense. And it's one of those things, and I don't say this very often anymore because the company has been pretty different, but that speaks to the ego of the company. And I think that's right. That makes complete sense, because it's going to be Netflix and USA, and then the only over the air, well, it still is over the air, even though it's digital. It's the only national over the air network that they're appearing on, the only free to air network that they're appearing on. So that actually makes sense.
But it's so stupid.
Well, it is. It's petty and it's dumb. But you're right. We can think it's stupid that they're doing it because it is. But that is the reason, though. I think the reasoning that you laid out there is accurate.
I mean, it's the only thing I could think of that makes sense. If there is a different reason or something more plausible, then, feel free to comment.
If Triple H wants to confirm or deny,
because we know he's in the comments right now. Just throw it out there, big man.
Just let us know. Just let us know, Trips. Come on, let us know.
Breaking news on Dirt Sheet Radio.
Right? Oh, God, that would be just such a massive scoop if we could do that.
And John's not even here to see it.
No, God, he'd be crestfallen if Triple H was here, and he wasn't here for that. But back in the ring, our next match we had tag team action. Hank and Tank taking on Tyson and Tyreek. This went just about 6 minutes. Hank and Tank picking up the win here. The story kind of being, last week during that tag team battle royal, Hank and Tank tried to show Tyson and Tyreek respect as they got eliminated. And forgive me, I cannot recall which one shook their hand and which of Tyson and Tyreek hit him.
Tyson is the one that was shaking their hands at the end of the match. Tyreek was the one that walked off.
Okay, all right. And
because I had to pay attention to commentary for Vic. I'm like, Vic Joseph's gonna know which one is which.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you. But so that's kind of the story here. Is a little bit of disrespect. Hank and Tank trying to be good guys. Shake hands. Code of honor. All that sort of thing. Solid tag work here. But I like Tyson and Tyreek. You know, we saw them a lot on Level Up, but, you know, they haven't really done a lot to let them define who they are as characters, and they need to do that. And I don't know, like, give them some promo time. I mean, because right now, all I know about them is I feel like one of them is like a cool guy and one of them's kind of a petty asshole. Like, that's where I'm at right now. And that's not enough.
Now you know which one is which.
There you go.
Now, do you think it was because, like, they lost their debut against Gallows and Anderson? Because, I mean, yes, they were a very impressive tag team watching them on Level Up, and even in their debut match, like, they were fantastic. But the fact that they still lost, and I believe they got, like, a Retribution win in a 6-man tag, like, a couple weeks later, but I just haven't had the same investment in them basically since that moment.
I think that did hurt them. And if, you know, I'd have to go back and check it, but I think that night we talked about why use Gallows and Anderson if you're not going to use them to put over an up-and-coming team. And like, you know, even though, like, Gallows and Anderson aren't where they were position-wise, it still would have been a really big deal for them to beat a legacy team like that. And, yeah, we talked about that then, if I recall. You know, I didn't think about that. It probably did. It probably did hurt them. That initial perception, they should have won that match. I'd actually kind of clock that all the way in the back of the memory there. I'd forgotten that was their debut on NXT proper.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
Yeah, I don't know what they need to do necessarily. Because, like, they're good, like, and they're big dudes. They move well. Like, that's the thing I liked about the match. The match was very, like, you know, stiff and, like, hard hitting. The ring bounced a lot during this match. There was a lot of weight moving around.
Well, this match was essentially a Big E special. You know, meaty men slapping meat. Like, that's exactly what this was. 4 big guys just throwing the full force of their weight at each other.
Right, and I like that. It's just I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'll say this: at least they're giving them something. They're doing something with them. You know, it's not the strongest basis for a feud ever, but they're getting TV time and they're in a TV program. You know, and they're not going to win a program with Hank and Tank. I think Hank and Tank are on their upward swing right now. I think they've been building towards that, and I think they'll end up winning this program. But Tyson and Tyree can come out of this looking a lot better, and they can get elevated in this as well. And, you know, if they want to try their hand at making them a heel team, let's go for it. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need to be, like, just brash, mean badasses that go in there and just run people over. Let's try it. But you know, while I say I think it's a weak premise, at the same time, I'm glad that both they and Hank and Tank are on a television program. So,
oh yeah, it's grateful to see Hank and Tank killing it on NXT.
But speaking of killing it on NXT, up next we had words from the ruler. Oba Femi, the current #1 contender, the Iron Survivor Challenge winner. And, we were, I think, a little surprised to see Oba making his return into that Iron Survivor match. Less surprised to see him win the Iron Survivor match once we knew he was in it. CJ, like you said, as soon as you saw him come out, you said that was it.
Yeah, like, it really was. Like, he just, and I said this on the Deadline Rewind too, like, he just has an aura that guys in NXT, it's very rare for them to have. Like, it almost feels like they're not allowed to have that kind of aura so early in their career, but Oba Femi definitely has it. So I mean, his first promo as the Iron Survivor was what I would say is a smash. You know, basically he called out Trick Williams in a very Oba Femi style promo. Trick Williams does come out, but before he can say anything, they're interrupted by Eddy Thorpe. For anybody that might not have been aware, Eddy Thorpe was taken out of the Iron Survivor match because he got taken out backstage. And I, you know, Tyler, you pointed it out, but now that this picture's on the screen, I can't unsee Eddy Thorpe wearing a Eddy Thorpe t-shirt and an Eddy Thorpe jacket. Like, I can't not unsee it now.
Opened almost perfectly to spell out Thorpe. Like, it's something else. Like,
it's
it
brilliant.
Really, yeah. It's Thorpeception. You know, it really, really is.
Yeah, if you want to finish recapping the segment,
I just want to talk about the promo itself. Oba Femi, fantastic on the microphone. I thought, and I've said this before, when Trick Williams is, you know, talking across the ring from someone who is very good on the mic, Trick is better. It's absolutely wild to me. Like, Trick, Trick just elevates up on the mic to whomever he's speaking to. Because, like, I felt like this was some of his best promo work in a while. And I don't know why, or maybe he's just like starting to snap into it and like fall into it on his own. But like we said about Trick before, like Trick kind of seems to elevate up to, you know, who he's working with here. So one, really, really looking forward to you know, New Year's Evil and Oba Femi and Trick Williams. Think there's a reasonable chance that Oba Femi wins that championship there. We'll see. We'll talk about that a little bit later, I'm sure. But like, Eddy Thorpe. And this really encapsulates it. Eddy Thorpe just came across like such a sniveling, like petulant kid in this. Like, like it was just so mad. Like such a, oh god, he was so irritating here.
But I mean, at the same time, put yourself in Eddie's shoes. It's reasonable for him to suspect that if he gets attacked from behind and Oba Femi takes the opportunity to enter the match,
right?
Yeah, exactly. When you can kick anybody's ass in the locker room, you know, that's the kind of aura that he has. It's weird, but anyways, so when you get someone taking your spot, you know, very possibly they are the one that attacked you to open that opportunity for themselves. So Eddy Thorpe comes out to air his grievances, but for some reason, they basically are just like, sit tight, we'll get to you in a minute, we're gonna handle this first. And then
shut up. Like,
yeah, like Oba Femi and Trick Williams just continue to slam each other on the mic, and Eddy Thorpe just stands there watching. Like, sometimes he paces a little bit, but it was weird. Like, it's like he was, like, watching a fighting married couple through their living room window. Like, it was awkward.
Look, it was, like, it really, I flashed back a little bit, like, it's the arguing thing. Like, it's almost like, you know, I'm a child of divorce, y'all. So, like, it's almost just like, all right, they're fighting. I'm just gonna wait over here to tell them about my preferred Capri Sun flavor. But like,
look at this macaroni art.
But like, yeah, like Eddy was just, he almost, like, for so much of this promo up until Oba left and it was just Trick and Eddy, he felt like such an afterthought. Like, it really was like, go sit at the kids' table.
Yeah.
Like, the main event wrestlers are talking right now. Go sit down.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, we'll end up talking about Eddy Thorpe again later in the show, but he just looked like such a loser in this segment.
Yeah, he really did. He really did, which is unfortunate because, you know, Eddy's he's a strong performer, but Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about Eddy a little bit more.
I had it written in my notes that Eddy Thorpe was my nomination for Jobber of the Night. Spoiler alert, he is no longer my pick for Jobber of the Night for reasons that we'll get to in the segment, but that was how much I thought. Like, I actually wrote, Thorpe shouldn't have cucked himself out in that segment, though. Like, that's essentially what he did. Like, give him that fucking hotel chair, push it into the ring, and just let him sit there and watch.
Well, and, yeah, exactly. Just, here's a cigarette, just sit down, enjoy. Like, and, him asking Trick for an NXT title shot, and then like Trick's like, yeah, and then like hits him in the throat. Like, it was such a weird ending to the segment too. Like, I mean, as you can see, he's down. Like, Trick's like, yeah, sure, go talk to Ava. Boom, right in the throat. Like,
well, and I mean, he did say some pretty off-the-collar things.
It's true,
but yeah, I just thought this whole segment was just really bad. Like, it didn't really do anything for anybody. Like, well, I mean, it worked for Oba Femi, but and to an extent Trick Williams, but he didn't look good coming out of this thing with Eddy Thorpe, and Eddy Thorpe didn't look good going in, so I just wasn't looking forward to it. I am now, but I wasn't before.
Oh gosh. Right, so moving on from there, we had a quick little backstage segment with Fatal Influence discussing the return of Gigi Dolin. And my only complaint here is it kind of looked like they're starting to already sow some seeds of dissent between Fallon Henley and Jayne, as Jacy was maintaining that Gigi's back because she's still hung up on her. That she's still angry about the dissolution of the tag team and their fight and feud and all of that. And Fallon's convinced that no, Gigi's back because she wants this North American Championship. And so they kind of had Jacy looking visibly annoyed with this, and very quickly Jazmyn Nick stepping and be like, let's focus on the task at hand. Good work, good promo and character work here, but like I don't want this team to be splitting up, and the fact that they're making it look like there's a chance they will makes me wonder if someone's moving to the main roster in the near future through that transfer. This CJ, the transfer portal's got me all messed up in the head right now.
But look at Fatal Influence, I guess, as individuals and as a group. Are any of them ready for the main roster, do you think? Sorry, that was a really bad time to take a drink.
Honestly, like, as a collective, not Jazmyn Nix, you could make an argument, like, for the grouping with Jacy, Jayne, and Fallon Henley that they could. Jacy's definitely there. I don't think there's really anything she in particular is missing, but like Fatal Influence doesn't work without Jacy, so if Jacy's gone, that group's done. And I think that would hurt Fallon and especially Jazmyn Nix. I think that Fatal Influence needs to continue as a grouping for a while longer. It's one of the reasons why I don't like that they're kind of nodding that way. But it is NXT, and it is the Leveckian WWE. So maybe I shouldn't be that concerned, because in my head, like, I'm still thinking that like this story will run over the course of a few weeks. Maybe this is just the first groundwork for what happens 6 months from now with Fatal Influence. So maybe I'm overreacting.
Well, and it could be too that if you don't think any of them are ready for the main roster, but you still want to tease a little bit of dissension just to drive interest in the group, I'm fine with that too. Yeah. Like, if they do end up patching it up and moving on from it, I think that's just good storytelling. You don't have to have teams breaking up at the slightest hint of dissension between the two. Although the fact that we got a team from Raw and a team from SmackDown doing it, not just like the fact that we've seen it happen twice, but twice in the same week. And now they kind of have been leaning that way with Tyson and Tyreek as well. Right. And it's like, okay, let's go for the trifecta here. Red, blue, and silver. Here we go. Right. What the fuck are we doing?
We're running it everywhere. Look, if it works in one territory, it'll work in all of them, right?
It's like they're looking at the other product for ideas, but they end up just watching themselves being like, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Oh yeah, turning on teams turning on each other. Oh yeah, that's a great idea."
It's basically just a continuation of what Hunter and Sean's careers have been, which is them telling one another that all their ideas are good. So,
you can do no wrong. Thanks, boss. You're welcome.
Good job, Hunter. Good job, Sean. Thanks. Oh, gosh. In the backstage, more hall area from there, we had the friends, Gigi, Dolin, and Tatum Paxley, which I just love that Tatum Paxley just has her, group of misfit friends here. And they were talking about how, Gigi was talking about how, there's 3 of Fatal Influence, and Tatum was telling her that she doesn't need to worry about that. She made a new friend. She was trying to hold up the doll with green hair when they were approached and interrupted by Shawn Spears and the Information Bush, as I like to call them, and Izzy Dame.
I was really hoping that was their official name. Like, I know what you were going for with the learning tree, but I really want them to come back with Information Bush.
Look, we said Fraxiom enough times that it got willed into existence. So if we really push the Information Bush, it's going to happen too. But I was a little surprised here to see that they basically revealed that the woman that Shawn Spears had an interest in was Izzy Dame. I think last week it kind of led to the assumption that he was out there watching either Tatum or Gigi, but it seems that his interest is in Izzy Dame. Gigi, what do you think about this and the potential for his stable to increase here?
Well, and I don't know that. Honestly, I don't know that I care. Like, it's weird. Like, I talk about how good Brooks Jensen has been since aligning with Shawn Spears, but I'm still not digging the Shawn Spears character, this gimmick. I think it's still too hot on the heels of what Joe Gacy and Schism were doing to feel very original. Like, they're not going that far with it. Like, it's very mild, but in a sense that kind of makes it worse. We can't just be like, it was this but jacked up to 11. But and then adding Izzy Dame, like, this is what they have her doing now that Kiana James is also not being used on the main roster. Oh wait, no, she's injured, isn't she?
Yes, she is hurt now. But, I mean, the point still kind of stands. Like, they need to figure out how to get the two of them back in the same sphere. Because, like, they work so well together. And when they split them up and put Kiana on the main roster, I don't think I was the only one questioning that decision then to split them up, because they were really finding such a good, niche together as a pairing, and they were, I don't know, benefiting one another. But they need to have them find their way back to each other. But maybe this is their attempt to just get Kiana working with someone else. Like, maybe that's what they think the issue is. They just have to have her paired with, Izzy paired with someone else. I still remember the night
with Kiana too. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe. I still remember that first night that Izzy Dame came out during that cage match, and like commentary was like, "It's Izzy Dame." And we're like, we don't okay.
We have no frame of reference for who Izzy Dame is.
This is not the same gravitas as that's gotta be Kane. It's not the same feeling here.
Yeah, we at least had a bit of an understanding of who Kane was just through context.
Right. Oh gosh.
Man.
But yeah, we'll see what they've got planned there with the information bush and the potential addition of Izzy Dame to that. But, from there, we will go to the ring, where we had Fatal Influence and tag action here. In this case, it was Jacy, Jayne, and Jazmyn Nix tagging together to take on the pairing of Gigi, Dolin, and Tatum, Paxley. Solid work, quick work. Just went about 3.5 minutes before Fatal Influence kind of, cheats and chicaneries their way into victory here. It was so quick. It was such a quick win. I was stunned that it happened so quickly. I thought this match was going to get a little more time than it did. But after the match, the beatdown ensues. The numbers game catches up until we have... That is the wrong picture. That was not the right picture. I got my pictures mixed up, CJ. This happened.
It's all good.
But,
it's for context. Like, John usually does this for us so that we can focus on recapping the show. And unfortunately, John is absent today. So Tyler, being the absolute bamf that he is running the show and continuing to provide phenomenal recap. So good job for all you do, but don't be too hard on him.
Thank you. And it's so kind of you to lie to everyone about my abilities here. But we had, saving the day, the returning Shotzi, and I like that as a grouping too. Like, it's interesting. I thought that Gigi Dolin was going to be in a different place than she is right now. After she and Jacy split. God, that was over a year ago now too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was because it was not long after Mandy Rose got fired.
Good gravy. That is going back.
Which I think was right after Roxy won Iron Survivor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a year ago. Crazy.
Time flies. But I like them as a grouping. I said this earlier. I enjoy Tatum Paxley and her ever-growing cast of misfit friends that she seems to be making along the way in her career. And again, I just like her character. And again, she's another one of those potential names that I can see them being like, you know what? Transfer portal going up. She's someone I think she has such a good grasp on her character. She's so good in the ring. And short of winning some championships, I don't know what else there really is for her to do in NXT.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if they are gonna put the title on her, I would say now's the chance, because if you have and if they do decide to bring Fallon Henley to the main roster, obviously now's the time. But this is someone who was picking up momentum right before an injury. She comes back and the crowd was super amped to see her. This is an awesome opportunity to continue building that momentum and at the same time building the prestige of the North American Championship. Yeah,
absolutely. Agree wholeheartedly. And any chance to get Tatum on TV and getting wins, I'm not going to complain about that. But so we're obviously did they announce if we're getting that match already or no? I can't remember what they announced for next
recall. I know they announced.
Okay. No, we've got Sol Ruka and Zarya taking on Lash and Jakara. Let's see. They they announced Fraser and Axiom taking on Gallus, and well, we'll talk about what the main event next week is going to be when we get to the end of tonight's show. But so they haven't announced anything proper here yet. But I assume in the very, very near future we're going to be getting some sort of triple, 6-woman tag with Fatal Attraction and Tatum, Gigi, and Shotzi. I'd like to see that be some sort of tornado tag, no DQ kind of thing. That seems to be the kind of niche that they like to push especially Shotzi into, which is cool. It works. And that's also too. Shotzi, just coming back. Those matches are usually, shockingly enough, a little bit easier because you can do kind of more of a walk and brawl kind of thing, and that might be good with her having just come back from injury too. That do something a little easier.
Something that she can kind of rely more on her partners to carry the match.
Yeah, exactly.
How long was she actually out for? Because I wasn't even expecting her back.
A lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was some kind of
out
was
past WrestleMania.
Yeah, I thought it was like an ACL issue or something. I could be very wrong about that.
It was heading into was it oh god, what was was there a Valentine's Day one? She had a big match right before her injury that was scheduled.
Yeah, they did they bring back the Valentine's Day Massacre.
I'm trying to remember if that's what they called it though.
Or was that just the match type? Was that the name of the match?
Oh god, I don't know.
Gosh, because a lot happens in wrestling, and a lot. Oh, hi, Molly. A lot bleeds together. CJ's looking this. I can see the glare from the screen. So I know information.
Okay, so I got it. She was injured in February. She was due to face Tiffany Stratton on the February 16th episode of SmackDown for a qualifying spot in the Elimination Chamber match. That's what it was. I knew it had to be around Elimination Chamber time, but I couldn't remember what the context was. Torn ACL, ruling her unable to compete for approximately 9 months. So that does line up with her return tonight.
Yeah, I mean, right in that window. Okay. Still, no, surprising return though. In my eyes, I wasn't expecting it. I guess too. I don't know why I expected it to be longer than that. I guess generally you hear ACL and you think a year, but modern medicine, right? It's they can do crazy things.
Oh yeah.
But from there to our next match, a title match.
Oh, hang on. We missed a segment here. We had Fraxiom backstage again. So last we saw them, they were out to make things right for their tag team partner. So they had the classic sort of Christmas gift mix-up. I got you this for your this, but I got rid of my this so I could get you that. That sort of trope. So it ended up with Axiom getting a one-on-one match against Oba Femi, and it had Nathan Fraser getting a tag title match. Both of those matches set for next Tuesday. So Axiom is working double duty, same way Nathan Fraser was working double duty at Deadline. Here's where I think this might come to a head a different way, because we had talked about Axiom being the one to turn on Nate, or was it Fraser being the one to turn on Axiom? No,
Axiom being the one to turn.
Yeah, but I do think there is a window where Nathan Fraser does the same thing. I was able to work both matches and we still won the tag titles. you do the same thing and then we lose them, so clearly you're the weak link.
Oh,
I mean, potentially.
So in that scenario, that would be putting the tag titles onto Gallus.
Which honestly, I would not be opposed to that. I think the chase is always better for the good guy. So
Right.
Put the tag titles on a heel team for a while and build up. Ooh, this is the best time to put it on Hank and Tank.
There you go.
Well, when it's time for Gallus to lose, would be the best opponent for them. Now that if Gallus does win, because I mean there is still the potential that Axiom will be able to defend.
And to be fair, I feel like at least in my recollection for myself, I've gone into probably Axiom's last 4 defenses, assuming that they were losing.
That's fair.
I think I've called Axiom to lose like every single time, and they keep on retaining. So,
I mean, they're doing something right. But this promo in particular, I felt they just had such amazing. This was an example how they have just such amazing chemistry. It's insane. It would genuinely be tragic if they broke this team up. I really want to see them together on the main roster, but we'll have to wait and see what they do.
And Axiom, we joked earlier about him showing seething hatred through his eyes, but he really does emote a lot without being able to show his face. He does a very good job. And there are very few wrestlers that I have felt can give expression without a mask that moves. Kane, definitely on that list. When he had the full mask, you could still really tell what was going through his head and the emotions he was feeling. And that's hard to do. And, props to Axiom, A-Kid, for doing that so well. But yeah, we said this about the War Dogs too. We enjoyed them so much as a team that was thrown together hastily and worked very, very well.
Really did a lot to rehabilitate Corbin's career.
Yep. Yeah.
All for naught, unfortunately. But
yeah, it was just a shame that it happened so late in Braun Breaker's run in NXT, because we knew he was leaving. We knew he was going to the main roster.
And I genuinely was hoping that Corbin was going to find his way to backdoor himself back onto the main roster. And, it didn't end up happening right away, and he didn't even backdoor himself. He walked right in the front door. He got drafted and just didn't do anything. So I think that's the kind of the downside of the divisional system. You're able to go back down to developmental and rehabilitate your career if it works. But even if you get a better swell in NXT, like Corbin did, like Apollo Crews did, we view them as being rehabilitated when they leave. We give them the thumbs up, but they don't translate to the main roster the same. So at that point, it's are you actually doing any good, or should you just be releasing these guys instead in the first place?
Yeah. It's hard. It's just sometimes I don't want to say people get punished for getting over, but it's just sometimes it's it's all for naught, like you said earlier with Corbin. But I don't know, I feel like it's almost more cruel to get that opportunity to get yourself actually start to get over and rehab the character, and then you still get released anyway.
Yeah,
Corbin.
Well, I mean,
Dijak's another one.
Yeah. But hey, if nothing else, then at least rehabs you enough that you can get work on the indie scene.
Yeah. And I think Baron Corbin's like kicking ass in like judo tournaments right now or something.
Well, he was doing that when he was signed to WWE anyways, so... But still, good for him for keeping on it.
I just couldn't imagine that. Like, you're competing in, like, some judo tournament, and you just get, like, fucking end of dazed. Like, it just be wild. I know the judo throw, but yeah, so we'll see what happens next week with Fraxiom. Maybe they'll run the angle similar to how they did it on Saturday, or maybe this will be the end of Fraxiom. We've been calling it to be the end of Fraxiom for a very long time, so I feel like the week that we wouldn't say that would be the week that it actually happens.
It's like, I'm feeling pretty confident today. It's not going to be tonight. And then at the end of the night, you're like, ah,
God. But back from the backstage into the ring, we had, for the North American Championship, all ego Ethan Page taking on the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo. Great match here. A large part of the story, being that Ethan Page initially said he felt this was a step down for him, but then immediately was like, well, I still want the match. And they worked well together here. We've talked about how far Tony D'Angelo has come in a year. Obviously, he's someone that I think could work on the main roster. I don't really know how well the gimmick necessarily would translate there. But when it was all said and done, Tony D'Angelo retaining the North American Championship, Ethan Page on the losing end of it. And
hell of a spine buster.
Yeah, that's the thing. Spine buster is one of those moves where it blows my mind that move, like kind of like the DDT or the power bomb, has kind of gone through this segment where it's just like it just became a move for most people. It's like the spine buster is nasty. Like, look at the guys that did spine busters. Obviously Arn Anderson, Ron Simmons. Like, it's scary looking, and it looks like, yes, it busts your spine. Any move with the word bust or buster attached to it, brain buster, spine buster, these are things that should be ending matches. But yeah, hell of a spot. And it's just leading though to the further destruction of poor Ethan Page's psyche.
And I hasten to call him all ego. It feels like he's only somewhat ego now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about it in a second, but even just like the second dejected promo that he ends up cutting in this new character direction is like, man, this is really depressing. And seeing him lose this match clean, like it truly was just that Tony was the better competitor.
Ethan Page loses clean under like, yeah. Also, there was this is when they announced the nonstop CW picture-in-picture.
Okay.
Yeah, it was during this match, but
yeah, quit rubbing that in. Fuck you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The only note that I had for this match was great match.
Yeah, it was. Now, before the dejected promo that we'll talk about here in a second, we had really quickly backstage, and I don't have a picture for this, Lexis King with Ryan Leaf, who I don't know who that is. I
have no idea.
They
hang on.
explained it
I'll
very
Google
quickly in the segment. He played football, as I understand it.
Yes, former professional football quarterback who played for 4 seasons in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys. Also played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks. So, wait, he played for 4 teams in 4 years?
Okay.
That's... Okay. Oh, okay. So, looking at his career history, that's not the case. He played for the San Diego Chargers from '98 to 2000, and then in 2001 he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only in the off season and/or practice squad.
Okay.
In actual 2021, he played for the Cowboys and then off season practice squad for the Seahawks in 2002.
Okay. All right. So, but
still,
he was there.
what the fuck was he doing in Orlando at NXT?
I'm not sure, but they talked about like briefly that he played football. That he does, I guess, like some, I'm guessing like seminar speeches for like mental health awareness and stuff. So that's cool. But then they thought, that kind of transitioned into Lexis King, getting it done, and like the story that like people are watching him go through and becoming a better person and healing and all of this. And through that, we did find out that Charlie Dempsey is going to grant that Heritage Cup match to Alexis King. So that will be happening in a couple weeks. Charlie said that the only stipulation is that Lexis has to survive a workout with him. So.
Which are we going to see that workout? I imagine so, because they set the cup defense for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I assume we're going to get that workout next week, and I'm looking forward to that. Because
Christmas Eve.
Oh, God bless us, everyone! What a gift we're getting! Alexis King match against Charlie Dempsey. But like, I look forward to the workout segment. I think that'll be fun, especially with like the way the No Quarter Catch crew is now. Lots of goofiness to be had in something like that.
Well, and the way they're presenting Lexis King in this segment, in particular, like when Ryan Leaf was talking to him about being the inspiration for his humanitarian efforts, and I'm like, dude, have you actually watched more than the last like 2 months of programming? Like, this dude, like we talk about him talking about Robert Stone's kids, like that kind of level scumbag if you go far enough back.
All right.
But I think this is going to actually end up coming back to his conversation with William Regal about, are you your father's son? And I think this is going to end up, we're going to see a bit of a swerve and him go back to some heelish tactics to be the new Heritage Cup champion.
All right. That's a CJ Carter prediction, guys. Like,
that's a CJ Carter guarantee.
Oh,
asterisk, not actually a guarantee.
Oh gosh. So from there we had the ever more despondent Ethan Page.
Well, that's not Ethan Page.
No, the sad man. You can write whatever you want about him. He is very sad, and he's saying that he doesn't know how to get back to where he was. He doesn't know if he can. He doesn't feel that he is all ego. He feels lost. He's lost, CJ. He's lost. And this is just my opinion, but if you're lost, typically a good way to reorient yourself is to look to the north. I'm just putting it out there.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like we talked about the TNA partnership in the past and how much an Ethan Page rivalry against Josh Alexander would be. But if they actually wanted to revive the North, I know we're talking about like a lot of tag teams going through turmoil right now. But yeah, I would love to see that reunion if they decide to go that route. But I think Josh is doing kind of his own thing in TNA at the moment. So it's probably unlikely to happen anytime soon.
But I am enjoying what they're doing with Ethan Page here. I think this is
it's uncomfortable
character. it's very sad. And, you know, we've talked about how, like, NXT likes to try different angles with people's characters before they get put up to the main roster. And typically what that means is, like, you see someone that works strictly babyface go heel for a while, and then they're going to go up to the main roster. Talking to you, Roxy. But, like, in this case, it's like, are they trying to humanize and make a good guy of Ethan Page, or are they just trying to give him something different to do before a main roster ascension?
I don't think Ethan Page needs it. Like, I look at a guy like Dragon Lee who never got a heel run, so I don't think it's entirely out of the blue to think he would just stay as a heel for his NXT run, because he's good at it. You know, I think that's part of why this shaken confidence character trait is kind of irking me so much. Like, it's a little too different. It's Ethan Page out of his comfort zone. I've mentioned before on this show, like, seeing the best version of a wrestler and a version of their character. Now, if this does turn into something that Page can make work for himself, that's great. I will more than happily eat my words, like I'm still waiting on JBL to send me one of his cowboy hats. But that is a deep cut for anyone who has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm still invested, but I'm trepidatious, you know?
Yeah.
I'm hesitant.
Cautiously optimistic.
I gotta support a fellow Canadian. I don't know.
Right. Well, Ethan Page is very, very good. He really is. So it's hard to not have faith that he knows what he's doing here. But I think the most alarming thing and troublesome part of this is that he left to walk through the parking lot at NXT.
That's a death sentence.
Yeah, I need to know that he's okay right now, to be honest, because holy
camera goes off, immediately gets run over.
Oh no, poor Ethan. But all right. So, main
event time.
Yeah. Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade taking on Giulia and Kalani Jordan. This one,
got started before the bell.
Exactly. The smoke hadn't cleared. I saw people on the online that were so mad about Giulia's entrance getting interrupted. I guess people want her to get her full ring entrance when she comes out. But yeah, solid main event tag team action here. Pretty much what you'd expect from all four women involved. Went just around 11 minutes before Roxy and Cora get the win. I was a little surprised by that, actually. I feel like I say that a lot with NXT. But yeah, solid main event work. A little bit of action here happened after the match. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But CJ, what do you think of tonight's main event?
It was a great match. This was what I would have hoped Roxanne and Cora could have had in a reign as tag team champions. Like, they did awesome in this match. They work really well together as a team. And Giulia and Kalani Jordan is also a team that works. Like, it's not going to be permanent, but
right.
If they just need a match, then throw them together and they can handle it. I think this is kind of emblematic of a problem that we've talked about, though, because after the match, Stephanie Vaquer comes out and gets retribution on Cora and Roxanne for taking her out earlier in the night. And between them, like Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer and Zarya, like, I know I've said it before, but it feels like it's too much star power to handle all at once.
Mhm.
They and not to say that they should have staggered their debuts, but put one in NXT, put one on Raw, put one on SmackDown, give them their individual moments to shine instead of putting them in multi-women matches that so far, like, granted, Zarya is the newest to the roster, but why put her in that match? Like, she could have gotten a different, like, just put her in squash matches,
Right.
You don't need to put her in a 25-minute showcase, especially when she's sitting in Gorilla for 10 of those minutes.
Right.
So why not give her her own spotlight? Giulia being first, it felt more natural for her to win the match over Stephanie Vaquer. She's another one that I thought might have just been ready for main roster instead of coming down to NXT. But this is someone who, if if she'd have just done her dates that she was booked for and waited out the however many months, well, I mean, it would have to be like 6 months. Like, I would say if she was debuting at New Year's Evil and was given a spotlight, I think that would have been a better opportunity. But here we are now, and we have to try and fit these women into storylines that justify bringing them into the company in the first place. That's why we see Zarya already tag teaming with Sol Ruka, which, in a sense, for Sol Ruka too, feels like they just didn't have anything better for her at the moment, so they put her in a tag team. But emblematic. Like, I agree with what Roxanne said at the start of the show, because we've talked about it on the show plenty of times as well. NXT does have a phenomenal women's division, easily the one of, if not the best division in pro wrestling right now. So I don't think that they went into this being like, oh yeah, we can I don't know that they had a plan going in, being like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. I think it was just kind of we have big debut. There's going to be huge numbers on their debuts.
Right.
And then, okay, well, what comes after that? Hopefully they do something, but we'll have to see.
The time will tell. But yeah, so after the match there and the ensuing brawl, with Gora and Stephanie Vaquer, they brawl up the ramp into the back. You think that's the end of the show? No.
Marvel's post-credit scene.
Right. So we get to the back where we see DJ Eddy Thorpe in his Eddy Thorpe shirt and his Eddy Thorpe jacket, signing the contract for his NXT title match against Trick Williams. And Ava says to him that, hey, we're still trying to, figure out who attacked you. And he's like, well, I know who attacked me. And she's like, you do? He said, yeah, you're looking at it. I got my title match, and I didn't have to go through 25 minutes of hell to get it. Ava angrily snatches the contract, and that's how we end the show. Eddy Thorpe may be the most devious man in the history of professional wrestling.
Hands down. Hands
Holy
freaking
shit.
down.
This is like when Vic Mackey in The Shield, for my Shield fans out there. This show's been out for a very long time. Spoiler alert. He gets immunity before he tells them everything he's done. Like, he basically gets full immunity to testify before he actually tells them all this horrible things. That's what this is like. You just tricked the feds. Like, Ava is going to be so angry about this, but man, what a conniving way to get a title match. You faked being hurt. You put a thermometer under a hot light bulb for 20 minutes to lie about a fever. This is
just so you can stay home and watch Maury.
Right? What a twist here. Like, I was angry. Like, Eddy Thorpe went from me being like, oh my god, you sniveling little bitch, to like, holy fuck, you devious asshole. Like, amazing.
Like, just, I wasn't too sure about Eddy Thorpe as a heel just by the way that they had been presenting him for the last month and a half. I thought the in particular, the moment where he grabbed her wrist and she got taken out by a door, and Shawn Michaels' reaction is literally just to shove him into a fucking garage door. Like, who does that? That's just like adding fuel to a fire before you start the fire. Right. So I don't know.
That's throwing gasoline on gasoline.
Yeah. You don't have any source of fire. But no, I thought this was fantastic. Like, a really good move for a heel to make. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if I've watched wrestling for a very, very long time, and I don't know that I've ever seen a heel, or anyone for that matter, but this is definitely a heel tactic, get a world title match in this way. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Like, we've obviously seen heels like fake injuries and even fake being attacked by someone, but to this end is pretty astonishing.
Well, and especially like in retrospect now, to have the gall to still accuse Oba Femi before asking for your title shot. Like, you could have just gone and talked to Trick about the title shot. That could have been a separate segment, but no, you had to.
And then yell at Trick for not like getting on Oba. Like, you didn't even say anything to Oba Femi about attacking me. Like, yeah, you're guilt tripping someone. You know what? Now I don't feel bad that Trick Williams chopped him in the damn throat. Like, he had it coming.
But hey, that's all mind games. That's how they work.
Yeah. So, and that's just fantastic. Like, what a way to get that match. What a twist ending on the episode of, or I was at SmackDown, good grief.
The one WWE show you don't do the recaps for.
Right. It's SmackSound, as I
SmackSound.
But yeah, like, absolutely fantastic ending. But before we hop into our jobbers and megastars tonight, was there anything else on tonight's NXT that we haven't discussed that you want to touch on?
Well, basically just the usual business. Of course, comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio. Check them out for everything pop culture wrestling related. You can catch the Major Issues show every single Thursday on their YouTube channel, and the Cold Case Project as well. Delphin Pod shows are available everywhere podcasts are found, and you can shop DSR on our Shopify store. Holiday season, get some Dirt Sheet Radio merch, makes for a great Christmas present. And another great Christmas present is Monk.com's organic handheld essential oil diffusers. Use promo code DSR10 to save 10% on your order.
Oh, and guys. Oh. With that, that's going to take us into the NXT Jobber of the Night. All right, so CJ, I could have augmented this, but like I'm gonna kind of do something a little bit different with this, and let our viewers go on the journey that I went on. So in my spot here on Jobber of the Night, I have almost in parentheses written Eddy Thorpe, but my jobber of the night initially tonight was going to be Eddy Thorpe, and for his behavior in that opening or in that first promo, I'd still want to give it to him, because that's what my feelings were at the time, and it's rare that quickly in the show I would make the determination that someone was to be my jobber. And, here in a bit, you'll all see why it's odd to me that is my jobber and that he's continuing. But, like, he really pissed me off. Like, I hated him in that, not for the reasons like you should hate a heel. Like, I just found him to be just annoying and aggravating and sniffling in that and very wrong. But yeah, so that's where I was at on that. But where are you on your jobber tonight, CJ?
My jobber of the night tonight is going to be Tyson and Tyreek. The fact that they just haven't been able to regain that lost momentum from losing their debut has really put a damper on their careers. And it might just be that now they won't work as a face. Maybe they need to turn heel. And maybe that will lead to something that gets fan interest reignited. But in the meantime, that's not what happened here tonight. Like, they were definitely the I'm trying to think of the reverse. Like, the better team won in Hank and Tank. So my jobbers of the night, Tyson and Tyreek.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. And like I said, I hope that they can rehab them and figure out a good direction for them. But that's going to take us into the megastars of the night for tonight. And so we might actually have the same person here, but
we don't. I can guarantee you we don't.
Okay, nope. All right. So then, guys, this is the shocker. Like I said, for the reason of the connivingness, Eddy Thorpe is both my jobber and my megastar tonight. Because I'm so rarely that surprised by a twist in an angle in a wrestling story. I think the last time I was actually, and this is not the same level of surprise. Don't say that I'm equating this. I'm just saying the last time that I actually felt this surprised by something that happened on a WWE show was when CM Punk came back. Like, that was like how, like, if you gave me 100 guesses as to who attacked Eddy Thorpe would not have been on my list of people. And I just thought it was a brilliant ending. It made me get behind this heel character that he is portraying now. And it was quite the journey I went on with my feelings for Eddy Thorpe tonight. So Eddy's my megastar and my jobber, but also. And
it does explain too why a heel was getting attacked backstage. Like, it's very rare to see it. So, just changing the genre, as it were. I love what they did, and definitely considered using Eddy for my megastar pick tonight as well. But I'm going to go with Tony D'Angelo for mine, because his match tonight was amazing, but also because his reign has lived up, in my opinion, to the standard of the guy who dethrones Oba Femi. Like, he went through his Rocky montage, he ended up winning the title, he got his confidence back, and he has been doing amazing work in the ring since. So if tonight was any indication, like, Ethan Page is a hell of a competitor, whether he's full of himself or not. So Tony really dialed it up too. Like, that spine buster was a hell of a spine buster. So I hope to even see that move used in his repertoire more often. But he's just been killing it. So megastar of the night for me, for sure.
Oh, fantastic choice. And we've talked about Tony a lot and how far he's come in the time frame that we've been doing these rewinds. And he, again, like you said earlier, he's someone that I think, in terms of how he carries himself, how he works in the ring, how he works on the mic, he's someone that can function on the main roster. They just have to figure out a way to get the gimmick to work without it being cartoony. Which I don't fear it as much being super over the top cartoony without Vince being there. Like, Like when he was Heritage Cup champion, we joked about him filling it with spaghetti and meatballs, and that would never happen. Obviously, if Vince were running things, that absolutely would have happened.
Yeah. They're walking backstage, and someone accidentally cuts Tony off, and it's, "Hey, I'm walking here."
Exactly,
Like,
it would be every single trope imaginable out there. Like, we're
oh my
gonna
God.
get Tony
Could you imagine?
manage him.
Could you imagine if he ends up turning him into like a Luigi Primo kind of Italian?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a Tony D'Angelo.
I mean, they do a lot of stereotypes. They do the hands.
Oh, sure.
And stuff, but yeah, Tony D's definitely got a bright future without question.
Absolutely.
Very, very good. But yeah, guys, that's NXT tonight in a nutshell. Yeah, we had a lot of fun talking about it, and I think you did too. And if you enjoyed what we did here tonight, I've got some fantastic news for you. We're not just here to talk about NXT. That'd be weird if we were, but hey, we'd still do it. We're here every night of the week. Wrestling never stops. Dirt Sheet Radio is always on, and we are here every Monday night for Monday Night Raw. We are here Tuesday nights, obviously, for NXT. Wednesday nights, you know what that means? AEW Dynamite. Thursdays are for TNA Impact. And of course, as we mentioned, Fridays are for SmackDown. Wrong. See, guys, I hit these buttons in the wrong order sometimes. If you're up really late on Wednesday nights and you want to see people to hit the buttons in the right order, check out the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship program, guys. They go late into the night. If you're like me, don't have to be up early. Check it out Thursday mornings. It'll be there waiting for you. And CJ and I are trying to get something together again going on Sundays with the Weekend Wrestling Roundup. And we do promise that when that happens, it won't just be about children's programming of yesteryear. But we will be back in the future.
It will be a large section of the show. It won't be all
Not
of it,
the
but it is going to be the main segment.
So, yeah, right. But happening on Sundays consistently, the guys over at 3NT every single week with the Christmas graphic in all of the IWC. And CJ, man, tell the folks where they can find you.
Well, I mean, I'm going to try to be here every Tuesday again going forward, but, you know, the way life goes, it can be tricky. I'm going to be on the Raw Rewinds, not next week, but the following weeks after, so be excited for some holiday CJ. I make it to Fridays to rewind SmackDown when I can, and if we do one for Saturday night's main event, I'd happily hop on.
Right on, right on.
But that'll be up to John. I don't know what his plan is.
We'll see. I mean, it's going to be a pretty big show. The card kind of warrants it, I think. But
I think so.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes defending against Kevin Owens. Triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Wow. Love it.
And guys, I'm Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. Just follow me over on Facebook at the Pro Wrestling Hipster. And of course, after you follow Dirt Sheet Radio on all of their avenues. And guys, Dirt Sheet Radio will be back live tomorrow night. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you then.
Have a good night.